I was gonna pay a deposit for one apartment that I found, but my leader actually told me to hold on for a second because the housing market was very expensive at the time. So he was like, "Bro, I know it's gonna be expensive, so I don't want you to rush in and sign any leases or any contracts yet. Here's what: we have a very nice red couch, and you can just sit there and not pay rent for a while until you find another place." And I was like, "What?" Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everybody to the Fursa podcast. Today, I'm still gonna share my experience in sales when I was a salesperson. Um, it was during the past 8 months when I was in sales. So after I graduated, I applied for a sales job and I got it. And ever since, my life has changed drastically. So what I'm going to share with you today in this episode, and I hope we're going to have a very nice conversation. Gonna move this apple. Um, Bring your coffee, tea, and let's have fun today in this conversation. So the main things I'm going to talk about is the first month when I started the job, and then the second month, which is very, which are very contrasted. They were very different. When I started, it was very bright and shiny, and everything was cool. The second month, it was something else. So just go ahead and start right away. So I'm Aziz. I graduated from OU with a entrepreneurship degree. So I got a scholarship from Oman, and then I came here to the US, studied and graduated, and has been working in OPT, optional practical training. The international students, they might be familiar with this. So all I'm doing in this podcast at this period is talk about this experience and how it benefited me, the things that I learned. So hopefully it's going to benefit mostly the international students that are, looking into their professional career and listen to some other experiences. So they may, learn a thing or two. So let's just get into it. So the first month when I started this job, so it was in Cincinnati. So I'm here in Athens right now. When I finished my school in Athens, I applied for a job in Cincinnati, and it was 2.5 hours away. It was not that far, so it was not a big deal for me to go there. So I took my stuff, all of my belongings, and I took them there. So I had a temporary apartment. Of course, I know the Omanis there in Cincinnati. They were very generous, and they gave me an apartment to stay in because the guy that used to live in that apartment, he had a room, but he went to back to Oman. So in that period, he was like, "Yeah, you can just stay in my place at this time." And my plan was to get into that place, stay there for a while, and then start looking for somewhere else to move out to. And that was very good. It helped me a lot, and it made things a lot more smoother. So I went there, and I went to Cincinnati. The first day, I met the Omanis, of course. We took a tour in Cincinnati. They took me around. We ate lunch, and then can't forget them: Bashar, Hamd Hakmani, Luqman. And then afternoon, I went also on a tour with my buddy Adnan Al Fadli. We went, to Kentucky, and other places. So Kentucky in Cincinnati, they're like right beneath each other. So there's only a river that separates them, which is very insane. But that's how it was. And the first day was cool. And then the day after that, it was Monday. So it was the first day for me in the office. My first initial impression was, wow, this office space is very cool. It's this shared office space. If you guys know Arudha, Muscat, same idea. You get this space that is shared by different people and different companies and different individuals that can have the same spot at the same time. And then they were running a meeting. Okay. And when I got there at first, they introduced themselves, and we just like circled around, and each person introduce themselves and be like, "Yeah, my name is this. This is a fun fact about me." And then it came to me, and I introduced myself, and I think I told them I'm from Oman or something like that. And after that, each person they went to different meetings in the same time, and they told me to kind of wait, hang on for a second, because the first day it was in-house training. So all the day we were just in the office, and they were like teaching us some basics about selling. So it was the basics about sales. So they taught us some the systems and what they use to sell stuff and how they communicate and how they work every single day. So right after that, we went to a bagel shop. My leader, my manager, he took us there, and we just took a stroll in downtown Cincinnati. And then after that, we were in the office doing training. It took like 3 hours or something. We wrote some stuff. We did some paperwork. We tried to make it fun, but it was basic things, and we learned how to practice the pitch. So they gave us the pitch. It was I think a 1 or 2 pages of it. And then after that, that was the first day. It was exciting and everything. The second day, we went to the field. So was it the second day? I think it was the second day. We went to the field. I went with the guy that recruited me. So whichever you recruit, he becomes the person in your team. So that was my buddy Luke. He trained me. It was nice. He taught me a lot about the how to go in the territory. So we did face to face sales. So we go to businesses and we try to sell them services and products. So he taught me how to, drive your car and stick to the right. And you go to businesses, you talk with them in a certain way. And this is how you present. It was everything about sales. And then the that Thursday, I started doing it solo, or not solo. It was me with him, but he just watched me trying to sell, and I actually got a sale on my first day um, during that time. And then Friday, it was all solo. I went all on my own, and it was very challenging because at that time I didn't really have money for gas. So I try to talk to him and everything, and he listened to me and was like, "Yeah, just try to walk, try to do whatever you can to be efficient. And if there's anything that came up, just let me know, and I'll help you out." I think I had to ask my parents for money, which is something that I hate doing, but I just had to. And of course, they helped me, and everything went, I think, well after that. So I think that's the summary of the first month. Okay, that was the basic, and then after that, the week after, things started to roll up, and the balls start rolling, and I got a promotion my second week. So in order to get a promotion, I had to get 6 sales, and that's actually what I did, and it happened. It was great. It was cool, and it was exciting. The month after that, let's talk about the second month. So this month and the seventh or sixth months are the most were the most challenging and hardest months in my life. Okay, so the second month was very contrasted from the first month. The first month, it was a bit challenging. It was exciting. It was a bit it had a lot of nervousness, but the second month was the hardest for me. So why was it very hard? Why was it one of the hardest months in my life? I'm gonna get into that. So I'm gonna be very vulnerable and share something that a lot of people don't know, and something that I've never shared. And most of the things that I shared were cool stuff, things that I learned, great moments that I had, some funny moments that I had. But there was a time where I really disappeared. No one was hearing anything about me. I didn't even go into Instagram and social media platforms a lot. I wasn't texting my parents a lot during that time, and there was a lot of reasons that made me come to that point. So the second month, things started to happen. Okay, bad things started to happen. So during the second month, it was when I really started to really settle in and start to get used to the life in Cincinnati. And I things started once you start settling in, start to slow down, and you start to have more time to think, more time to process, and more time to realize a lot of things around you. The first month, it was the start. Everything was, very quick because you still were in exploring mode. You were exploring a lot of things, and a lot of things were interesting at that time. The second month, it was really everything started to slow down, and especially there was one weekend. It was a long weekend. We had an extended holiday. It was, I think, Veterans Day or Labor Day or something like that. So it was an extended weekend. So it was our weekend is, of course, Saturday, Sunday, but it was Saturday, Sunday, and Monday because it was Labor Day. Most of the weekends in Cincinnati, I felt very lonely. It was very lonely. I didn't have a lot of friends there. Of course, there was a bunch of Omanis and stuff, but not really someone that I was close with. It was very different from me being in Athens and then transitioning to a whole new city, a bigger city, a new job, the first job, I would say, a new environment, new experience, a new home. Okay, it was something totally new. And then for things to start slowing down and me realizing that, oh shit, I'm living by my own right now, new place, I don't know anybody in here, I don't know what to do, who should I go out with. I tried to text some people, but of course people there, they had their own lives, they had their own friends, they had their own girlfriends or whatever. And then I started to feel really lonely. I Whenever I start doing something, I start thinking of doing something else. And then when I start doing something else, I start doing another thing. And it was just crazy. I start to really overthink a lot of things and get very anxious for no reason, like literally no reason. But when I start thinking about it right now, I have more perspective and I have a better idea of what it was about right now. Once you get out of that mode, you start looking at things as they were and really come out with the reasons. But at that time, I didn't really know what was going on. That's how it is. So what I think right now happened there when I felt very lonely, it was loneliness. I had a roommate, but he also had his own life and his own, things to do. And it was also me being anxious about money because I had, didn't have a lot of money at the time, but also the idea of it being a performance based job. So it was me, if I didn't get any sales, I wouldn't get any money. So the fact that I'm sitting right now in my apartment and not going out and selling stuff, I felt that I wasn't performing, which meant I wouldn't get more money because our job, it's a Monday through Friday. It's a 8 to 5. But we also had the option of going on weekends and selling. So the fact that I'm sitting right now, I'm not selling anything means I'm not gonna get money, or I'm not being productive, or I'm not doing the best I can. And that idea really fucked with my head. And you start to overthink a lot of things. What if I, relax today and then I went next week, but I didn't get any sales? Then I'm gonna regret me not going on a weekend and trying to sell stuff. So that it just became a spiral. and I really couldn't relax and watch a damn movie. And I actually did a reels, kind of displaying that it was me not being comfortable and I just can't relax. And so I don't think people really get what I was, showing, but it was just a way for me to express what I was going through. And I'm gonna show you the clip right now. You can watch it.
Are they all constructed, or do you ever use ones that are real? How can you tell the difference? Can you tell if something really happened?
So that was the thing that I was going through, and every time, even when I try to go outside, I would go outside and then think I want to stay home. And when I stay home, I want to go. It was crazy. It was the most annoying feeling I ever felt. Like I couldn't relax, I couldn't chill, I couldn't move, I couldn't. If I just felt stuck. And then on top of that, other things started happening. So when I mentioned that, I didn't have a lot of money, some financial issues started to come up as well. My car started acting up. My car started to, I and it it, it was my fault too. I didn't really take good care of my car because I didn't know how to. I didn't know. I still don't know a lot of things about cars. I had to learn. It made me learn a lot of things about cars, but I didn't really take good care of my car. It I've always been hearing some squeals and some squeaking when I turned the wheel, but I didn't really pay attention to it. I was annoyed by the noise or the sound, but I didn't really do anything about it because every single time I go to auto shop, they always quote me with things that didn't really matter, and they quote me with things that are not urgent, but they tell you you got to do this, and it's always like a 1 grand repair, like for what? And that always made me feel anxious and hate going to the auto shop because every time I go there, it's always like, yeah, you have to pay $1,200. Like, bro, why? But it came to a point where my car actually broke down when I was here in Cincinnati, and the so I was trying to park in a parking lot, you know. Fortunately, it was not in a highway or something, but I was in the parking lot. I was trying to park, but the steering was very stiff, and I was actually like trying to fight it and try to steer the wheel, but I wasn't really going for it until my tire split from the ball joint, like actually split. So my car was going down in the ground. I was like, "What the fuck is going on? Did I hit a hole in the ground or something?" But I tried to go. It was reversed. Then I did a driving. I was going straight, and then it went even lower. I was like, "Fuck, what is going on?" And I came outside the car and I saw my tire literally like split, like not split, but it was in the other side of the. It was weird. I'm gonna put some pictures if you're on YouTube, you can watch it. But I was like, damn man, what a time, right? So I towed my car. I tried to fix it and everything. Went back to, I eventually I fixed it and, went back to Cincinnati. So after that, their Eid al-Adha was coming up. Okay, it was close to Eid al-Adha. And I was already planning to go and spend the Eid in Athens, because I'm just used to spending Eid there. I love the Eid vibes, the atmosphere, and the environment, and the activities that we do during Eid. So I was like, yeah, really looking forward to spending Eid in Athens. Then my car started to act up again. Um, my brake was squealing really annoyingly. It was making just weird sounds, and I took it to a repair shop again. What they said was, we have to fix it. There's a lot of problems that were going on, and in order to fix it, it's gonna take up 1,200 grand. And I was like, I don't have that money, man. Just don't tell me that. My leader, Luke, came up to that. He was with me at the time. I called him. I was like, yeah, this is this and that, and they told me I have to pay this much. And I was like, why are they telling you this? And I was like, I don't know, man. You want to talk to them? He was like, yeah. And he asked them all the questions, and what are you gonna change and what it needs to be done. And they told him everything about it. And he was like, fuck it, just call me. I'll buy the parts and I'll fix the brakes for you. I was like, you gonna do this for me, bro? I was like, yeah, man, let's just do it. I'm used to fixing cars, and I used to do it when I was a kid, and he knows what he was doing. So on a Sunday, when he was supposed to be relaxing and doing whatever he wants, he decided to spend 6 hours fixing my brakes. That specific moments, I think, played a huge part in me sticking with that company for 8 months, because I've never thought that someone would do this for me. Because I'll tell you what happened. We spent 6 hours in Luke's house trying to fix my car and replacing the calipers and the routers and everything, all the things about the brakes. And we try to have fun. They brought some drinks, and we spent that time having fun. We blasted some music, and he eventually fixed my brakes. And what happened after that, I try to, test the brakes and see if it worked. And I, took a tour around the place. It was not a street. It was not like a highway or something. It was just in front of the house. And when I tried to brake, it went all the way inside. It went The brake just went all the way. I was like, it's not, bro. It's not braking. Like, what's going on? And what I did was, like, I was almost gonna hit a car in front of me. And what I did was just put it in parking immediately, and thank God it didn't break the gear. But I was like, it's not breaking. And then one of the guys was like, oh, it's leaking. What is going on? It's like leaking from the beneath, and it was leaking brake fluid from the front brakes. It was not the rear brakes. We fixed the rear brakes, but the front brakes were the ones that were leaking. So that became a new problem, and I was like, fuck this, man, and that really messed up my head. So I didn't use my car that day. We went on a road trip to Dayton, and I had to, sail on foot. I walked that entire week. We did some team days. I went with different people during that time, but I had to, deal with it. So yeah, we towed the car back to my apartment, and they put my car there, and then it just stayed there for a while, and then we called the tow car again to take it to the repair shop. So this is the thing that really just messed up my head. So like I said, it was Eid al-Adha was coming close. It was, I think, a week from that event of my car breaking down. So we took the car to the repair shop, and it was on a Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. And the Eid was on a Saturday, so it was a few days after. And I told them like, if you can fix this before Saturday, it was gonna be good, and I really wish you can do that in that time frame. And I kept calling them, to ask about my car, and they were like, "Yeah, it's gonna be in the works, and we'll try to fix it. We'll see what's going on with it, and then we'll tell you." But no one actually called me back. And then I was focusing on my work and wasn't really gonna still keep calling them every single time. And we called them on a Thursday as well, but no one. They told us everything. We'll check it out, and they didn't really give us an answer. I didn't even know what they were telling us. And it was Friday, and we called them, and they were like, "Dude, we don't actually know why this car's here. Like, someone just dropped it, never told us what was going on, and we never know why the car's here in the first place." And I was like, "So you guys didn't actually try to even fix it? It's not fixed yet?" They were like, "No." And I was like, "Well, wait. So when are you expecting to fix it, and what time is it going to be ready?" They were like, "Well, we gotta give it a check and see what it might be ready on Saturday." I was like, "What do you mean Saturday? I gotta be in Athens on Saturday." And they were like, "Yeah, we'll give it a look and call you back and tell everything about it." I was like, "Okay, just do that." And then I remember we were right next to Graders and Starbucks, and we were in the car, and they called us, and they were like, "Yeah, man, it's gonna have to be fixed. It will probably be fixed on a Saturday." I was like, "Okay, okay, okay, no problem on Saturday. How much is gonna be to fix it?" I remember that time in my account, I think I had 300, $400. They were like, "Yeah, it's gonna be 700." And I was like, "Bro." I remember Luke's head just went back, and he like sighed, and I was like, "Shit, man." That time it just hit me that I kept I was in shock. Like, I was surprised. I was asking every single question in the world, like, why is this happening? Why is it me? Why, am I going through this right now? Why am I gonna be able to go to Athens? Is my car gonna get fixed? Am I gonna have just a bunch of shit started to come into my mind. And Luke gave me a look, and then he was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. I don't have money right now." And we told the guy to hold on for a second, and I try to, see what I can do about it. There's really nothing else than me going to my parents and asking for money, which is, again, it's something that I really don't like to do. But there are times where you're gonna need your family, and your family is gonna be there for you. I remember I called my parents and told them I need this much by as soon as possible. And, as part of them, trying to figure out what's going on, they asked me questions. To me, of course, it was annoying to answer every single question, but I got that. But it's not like I'm gonna come suddenly asking for money and them just giving it to me without asking questions. They had to ask question, but for me at that time, I was just very overwhelmed, and just I started to tell them like this. I was like, I was in the mindset that just this is how it is. I don't know. I was very overwhelmed, and I told them everything about it, and they were like, "Okay, man, okay." And my dad was like, "Yeah, man, I got you. Don't worry about it. I'm just gonna send you money." At that time, I remember I was this close of breaking down. I was this close of tearing up, because at that moment I just realized that whatever it is, you need from your family, whatever it is you're going through at that time, your family is going to be there for you. And that moment really hit me very hard that um, I felt very blessed and also very overwhelmed. At that time, my dad was there for me at that time. They asked questions, which is necessary, but also they were like, bro, it's thank you for letting us know because we're a family to because we are here for you. And then like an hour after that, my mindset kind of changed and I literally told Luke, I was like, this is happening for a reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but in our religion in Islam, it's always encouraged and we are demanded to have a good faith in Allah, in God, that everything is happening for a reason. Like I might not see it right now, but it actually is happening for a good reason. There is a meaning in this. Time will show why I'm going through this and why I'm experiencing this right now. And he told me like, yeah, man, I really respect that about you. How you're sticking with, your faith and your belief. I had to accept the fact that I'm not gonna spend Eid in Athens, which really devastated me because it was an expectation thing. I already planned ahead and I already imagined and pictured myself spending Eid in Athens, which is if it didn't happen, it's gonna mentally break you down. And that was probably the worst Eid I spent in my life. I spent that Eid, with the Amanis in Cincinnati, and they did a great job. It was very nice, and the community, the Muslim community in Cincinnati, is very big. It was not just the Amanis, but we gathered and everything, and we spent good time. But inside my head, I was just stuck with whatever just happened with my car and the financial issues, and on top of that, the fact that I'm not spending Eid in Athens. So that really messed up with my head. And I'm going to show you a picture that one of the guys took of me when I was talking to my family. And just imagine the homesickness that I felt that time. I felt homesick like I've never felt in my life because all the things that I was going through, and then me talking to my family with them gathering around, being, around, and me having to stay here. And that was very hard. I tried to kind of stay in the moment and really spend some good time with the guys there, and they made lunch and everything, and then we played volleyball after that. But inside my head, I was still very anxious, like very. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel relaxed. I tried to chill and have good talks with them. I just kept coming in and out all the time, coming in and out all the time because of how unsettled I felt and how uncomfortable and how nervous I was about things that were going on outside my control. That happened. I missed Eid, and I did Eid, alhamdulillah, but and the guys told me in Athens that Eid was not that big of a deal. They didn't really do much, but it was more about the expectations that I want to spend this Eid with the people that I most comfortable with. But that didn't happen. So right after that, eventually my family sent me money. I was able to fix my car. Things start to roll again and work. And then there after that came a time where I had to start looking for my own apartment because the semester was about to start, and the guys that were back in Oman were gonna come back and sit in their apartment. So I had to look for my own place, and I spent a good 3 days just looking for apartments. I was looking for a single apartment for one room for one person, and the thing that was making me very anxious was other than just looking for a new place, which is already annoying, but also the fact that am I going to be able to afford it? The housing market in Cincinnati was very high at the time. The lowest you can get with only even a studio is like $100. Oh, sorry, $800 a studio. So just imagine how much is gonna get for one single bedroom. And if you're looking for a very low quality, bad neighborhood, bad, utility or whatever, it's gonna be like 700 or something, which is still very expensive. I was looking for. I think I found like three places that were good, but also not good with money wise. It was still expensive, but I was close to really putting a deposit or paying for. We call it arbun in English in Arabic, which is a deposit. So I was gonna pay a deposit for one apartment that I found, but my leader actually told me to hold on for a second because he knows the housing market was very expensive at the time. So he was like, "Bro, I know it's gonna be expensive, so I don't want you to rush in and sign any leases or any contracts yet." He told me he was gonna make some calls and see if he can help me out. And a few days passed, and I was like, "Bro, come on, it's timing wise not good to wait because it was coming up that all the leasings will start to come in and everything." So he was like, I remember we just finished team night. We played volleyball together, and I went to him and I was like, "Bro, can you tell me? Do you have an update? Have you found a place for me?" And he was like, "Yeah. Here's what we have: a very nice red couch, and you could just sit there and not pay rent for a while until you find another place." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, just come live with us. We have a big house, and we have two people that might eventually go out and leave somewhere else, and you can just take the room after that." And I was like, "You know what? I already feel lonely in my apartment, so it's not. It might not be a good idea to go to a new apartment and still live by myself. I can't afford to pay rent right now. Yeah, why not? I was like, bro, I'll come this Sunday." He was like, "Yeah, just come in." And I was like, bro, what just happened? I would have never expected this to actually happen. Like, I remember the me before I accepted this job and me knowing it's a performance base. I always was wondering, am I going to be able to afford rent or housing or paying for my life? But if I kept asking these questions and getting into my head a lot, would I ever come up with uh, the idea of my boss asking me to come and live with him just because he wants to help me and not be in a difficult financial situation? I would never have guessed that. But the fact that I did that action and I applied for this job and I accepted this job, and for me to find out that things eventually start to work for you somehow. And like told Luke the other day, this has to have a meaning. This is for something. This is not, Allah is always going to have a purpose for me going through this. And that just hit me very hard when he asked me to come live with them because I would have never expected for this to happen or for someone to actually try to ask me to come live with them. And one of the reason I think, and something that he told me as well, is like, yeah, man, we like you, we love you, and we want what's best for you. So one thing that I think also contributed with that is I still maintained a great positive attitude, even though I was going through all of those things outside. Because if I lost myself and I just lose my mind with all of those aspects and I start to be like an asshole or start being rude to people, I don't think it was going to ask me to come and live with him because he still saw that I was doing my best, that I was putting hard work into this position. And he was like, "Yeah, man, we got to invest in this man, put some effort into proving to him that he means something for us." And that's what I actually saw. and I started to live with my boss, which was insane. Like the idea itself of me living with my boss, and it wasn't just my boss; it was my other coworkers as well. Every single one that was living in that house, excluding two of them, were all in our company. We all worked with each other, or used to work with each other. So the other people, the other two, they actually were working in that office. So that might be the craziest thing that ever happened during this experience is my boss asking me to come and live in their house. Why? Because I was going through trouble, financial issues, that I was going through a lot mentally, and he just wanted to help me out with that. And that actually paid a lot in the future as well, because the fact that they already went long miles to help me out with the things that I was going through meant that for them to show me this initiative and willing to invest in their people, I was like, I have to pay them back. I have to do my best to show my appreciation and how I can work hard and do my best to show them that, yeah, I actually earned and deserved what you give to me, but also you guys deserve what I want to give to you, because you guys did your best to make me feel comfortable, make me feel home, make me feel as part of the family. The second month, it was a spiral of emotions and feelings and devastation and also surprises, but it taught me a lot about perseverance. There are certain situations where it's gonna really tell you what people are for you and how people stand in your life based on the things that you go through. Because there's gonna be moments and experiences in your life where you're gonna look for people to help you and support you. You're not gonna find them, but also there's gonna be some people that come out from nowhere that will give you the support that you need. Because if you have good faith, from in our belief in Islam, if you have good faith in Allah and you're doing your best and you're asking for His forgiveness and everything, you're gonna do good, and good things will start happening to you. And that's, alhamdulillah, that's what happened to me. One thing that I forgot to mention, I don't know how it slipped through my mind, but during all of the issues that I was going through mentally, financially, on the spiritual side, it was the best month in my life spiritually. My relationship with Allah. Subhanallah. That was the craziest thing about it. Is like, despite of all the hardship that I was going with, my relationship with Allah actually strengthened. And I was the closest I've ever been in my life with Allah. Why? Because I needed His help. And one thing I realized is, no matter how much you ask, no matter how much you do dua, no matter how much you pray, no matter how much you ask for things from Allah, it never takes anything away from Him. Which is why you have to constantly ask Him for help, for guidance, for good things to happen to you in life and in the afterlife. Actually, during Day of Arafah, Yom Arafah, that was probably the day where I cried the most in my life. I've never cried that much in my life, because the day of Arafah was the day. It was Friday. It was the day where I got all of the sad news, everything that she started to come up in my head, and it was all the hard stuff that I was talking about the financial issues, the things with my car that I had to fix my car, the fact that I was not gonna go to Athens on Eid, the loneliness as well. So I was back in my apartment. It was afternoon. I think it was 5 p.m. And the breakfast, the futur, it was at 7. So I still had time to make dua, to pray, to do everything. And I just remember me crying alone in the apartment with myself and Allah. I remember that time I was making dua, and asking for guidance and help and things to start going easy on me because I just felt overwhelmed. And I remember one like text from my aunt. She sent it in the group, in the family group in WhatsApp. It was this long dua, and I remember going to the park like behind the apartment, and I just took my phone and I just read through the whole dua. And every single dua in that message really hit me hard. And I just, my face started to drown in tears and mucus and everything. I remember like this day, I felt the loneliest, that I was going through things alone, but also at the same time, the most connected and most closest to Allah that I've ever been in my life during Arafah. I think this the fact that this experience made my relationship with Allah stronger by itself might be the best thing that ever happened to me, because I might not came out of this experience with money or a lot of wealth, but I came with a wealth of spiritual knowledge, of knowledge in general, and also an experience and wealth of emotions, I would say, because that experience made me appreciate people for what they are instead of what they're doing to me and what I'm getting from people. I just started to appreciate my family more and be grateful that I do have family. And I had different families, other than my real family that were there for me all this time. I had different families that, eventually I started to live with them, but also had families in Athens, different families. And speaking of families, it was the closest time that I was with my family. I was, ever since I started my college journey, I was only calling my family like 3 times a week, sometimes once a week, sometimes once a month. But this time, I remember calling them 3 times a day because I felt very lonely and it was very hard for me at the time. But also, every time I called them, they were there, whether it was during Fajr or like middle of the night. They always were there, and I called them all every time. And I actually remember a time I was coming back from Athens to Cincinnati, and I called my mom, and it was the first time that I talked to my mom for 2 straight hours. And I remember one word she told me that still stuck with me. She told me, "Son, you're a good person." She told me, "Son, you're a good person, and Allah is gonna be with you. Things will start to get easier with time. All you have to do is work hard, do your best, never be disconnected from us. We never want to see you disappear for weeks without calling us or without telling us what's going on." And that was probably the best call I've ever had in my life. It was the first time I talked to my mom, like actually talked to my mom, and never having my younger brother interrupt or anything. It was just me and her, and we talked for 2 straight hours, just talking about life, talking about my journey, talking about different things that I was going through. And I remember I was wearing sunglasses, and she was telling me that things are gonna start getting easier for you. Like, just hang in there, do your best. I, like, there was some tears in my eyes, I remember, but because I was wearing my sunglasses, for some reason I didn't want to show my weakness or my vulnerability to my mom, because I didn't want to show her that I was going through tough times. But that call really showed me how blessed I am to have my mom, to have my family next to me. It's just the fact that whatever you're going through, whatever's happening to you, whatever you're doing, whatever bad things happen to you, whatever however you see yourself, your family is always going to be there for you. That was the one of the great lessons I learned about this experience. And I knew that having a strong relationship with my family is also going to contribute a lot to my success, my career, my life, my afterlife. Uh, more more importantly, I'm very blessed for the things that I learned, the relationship I came out with, the great lessons that I had to go through, the tough moments that taught me a lot about myself and also about other people as well. But yeah, like I said, that was the second month. And the first month for me, my job, that was only first 2 months, which is crazy. It's crazy. And I already like learned a lot. Just imagine the other things that I also learned the rest of the 6 months after that. So that was my kind of story in the first 2 months. Went through a lot, learned a lot. I had tough moments with different people that really taught me a lot, which is something that I'm also going to discuss in the future. That I'm pretty sure, hopefully, will help a lot of people and myself. Just reflecting through all of this just makes me feel good about what I had to experience and what I had to go through in order for me to reach this point and for me to lay this experience to all of you in here. So I really appreciate you listening and for you to be open minded about me being vulnerable because I already know that the things that I'm going to talk about will make me feel overwhelmed and get me emotional because it already did when I was there. And me reflecting back to those moments and those days get me more emotional and feel more blessed and grateful about what I had to go through. So thank you again for listening. Thank you for being here still at this time. And I'm still excited and grateful that I can share this with you and looking forward for the next episodes and next experiences that we're gonna talk about. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, share this episode with whoever you think is essential for them to hear this because I believe that there might be a lot of people that are experiencing similar things. It doesn't have to be the exact same thing, but also just similar things. Like, because I've already talked to a bunch of people that were going through a lot of things that had similar emotions, similar feelings, but not exactly the same experience. But also, we could relate on a lot of different things, and it just made me feel not alone anymore, and also makes people feel the same way. Because at those times when I was feeling overwhelmed and everything, I just felt alone and lonely, and I was like I was the only one that was going through all of that. But I don't actually have to feel that way because if I already know that there's someone else that's going through that, I'm gonna reach out, and that's what I'm trying to do here. Why am I giving you my experience on being vulnerable and everything? Because there might be one person that is going through similar thing that is feeling lonely, and there's no one else that share with them that experience. But if for some whatever reason they see this and hear this and be like, oh shit, I can actually reach out to Aziz and ask them how he fixed it or how he dealt with it. And, that might be something that helped them. Just the fact that I'm not lonely and I'm not going through this alone. That fact alone plays a lot, making you feel better. That's it. That's all. That's the reason that I'm doing this. And also people just having questions in general that want to learn about my experience. And yeah, like I said, like, share this episode with people that I think is gonna benefit. And I'll see you around the next episode for Society.